At the time, my doctor was very frank, but said that probably I had 7 to 10 years. Of course, this was 11 years ago. Before I was diagnosed, I was the publisher of a travel magazine. I exercised a lot. I always thought I was the healthiest person in the room with a career that I loved. One day I found a lump under my arm, and somehow I just knew. I, at the time, knew absolutely nothing about lymphoma, and I didn't know there were so many different types. The type of lymphoma that I had, actually I had 2 types at the same time. One was follicular, and I had large B-cell lymphoma in my spleen. A great surgeon removed my spleen laparoscopically, and then I rested a little bit for a few days and I started chemotherapy. I was determined that I would somehow handle the side effects and get through it. So for business purposes, I flew to Korea. During chemo, I went to a conference in Los Angeles. I would come home, have chemo, and then kind of do something else, and gave into some really bad days, but for the most part, I really pushed through. Shortly after I finished treatment was when I went to my first LRF meeting, and I just knew that I wanted to be involved in LRF, and so appreciated its mission and what it was doing for people who were suffering from lymphoma and lymphoma survivors. And also for me, it's been like a family. People have reached out to me when they've known that I've been having issues. When I was, diagnosed a second time, spent so much time in the hospital, was getting very regular emails and phone calls from people at LRF offering support, sending flowers, just doing wonderful things, and I leaned on that a lot. It meant an enormous amount to me and to my healing. It really made me feel that I needed to be a better person, and that there were so many things that I might get agitated about that simply had no real importance. You go one more day and all the stuff you worried about yesterday barely exists anymore. So yeah, it did change me, and I would like to think for the better. If I just look back my 11 years, where all that existed was RCHOP, and now you see a long list of possible treatments, in many cases much less invasive, much less toxic, treatments that patients can control themselves, oral chemotherapy, the stem cell transplant that I had, and the development of treatments like CAR-T, working with the immune system. So much just in the past 11 years exists now that didn't. So there's every reason for hope. I certainly have hope.